work with children every day. I teach for a living. It's my curse. I got asked a while back how this came about. How do you do some of this? How did this start? Now, I was lucky enough. I did an exhibition in Shetland about 7 or 8 years ago, and part of me being up in Shetland was, rather than put me with artists, they put me with writers, because they thought, we'll take you out and see if we can get writers to do something different, get them to do something where take them out of their comfort zone and make them see differently, make them do something differently. And one of the writers I had to work with was a school teacher called Donald Murray, and we took the kids, we took them on a yomp. I think the best way to describe it was, it's like Goose Green for the Marines. we walked them, if anyone knows Shetland, we walked them from Sandwich to No Ness, which is probably about 4 or 5 miles, and then back again. Just to make it even more difficult for them, we gave them a sketchbook that unfolded down to about 10 feet long, and they had to write and draw while they were on the move. They weren't allowed to stop. So they had to actually write and draw and take notes and observe things as they were walking. So it was quite an entertaining day now, where you watch a kid writing in a book and a lamppost heading for them. You kind of think, cut in here. Because of that, we found that we were on the same wavelength. Anytime we've worked together, we really clicked. And working on something like this, originally, Donald sent me a couple of poems that became a pamphlet. I brought it with me, a little thing called Praising the Guga. That is basically the hatching spot for this. If anyone wants to see the book, this little Icarus figure here appears in this as well. It's page 225, exactly. And I was just saying to Donald earlier, interestingly, there's an Inverness connection to it, because the book, there's a little piece called Banned Books in this. And the book I drew was a copy of Hugh Miller's Old Red Sandstone, which was bought in Leakey's about 12 years ago. And it was the book that was used for this, so it had that kind of bit of a link there. I've worked with a lot of writers in my time, but every now and again you get one where someone sends you a piece of work, and as soon as you open it, and as soon as you read it, you see it. You see the pictures and see the images. And I'm printing off pages, and as they're coming out of the printer, I'm scribbling notes down, drawing things on the bits of paper. It's that fast. It's not even reading through it a couple of times. It was going through it instantly and starting to ring things and mark things and starting sketching and drawing almost straight away. And a lot of this, it was a real growing thing with this. And sometimes people think, well, an artist will be given a manuscript and here it is and go through it. This was almost done over 2 years of things going back and forward and ideas, and good fun to work on as well. I can remember sitting in the National Library of Scotland with a pile of St Kilda books in front of me and texting Donald saying, do you know they had tree sparrows on St Kilda? There must have been woods. So there's now a St Kilda forest because of the tree sparrows. So you're finding out things, and I'd say things to Donald, and Donald would say things back to me, and it was a real exchange of ideas, and a real kind of, the whole thing just grew and developed from that. And I think if you read it, you'll get that. You'll get that growth into it, and you'll get how it works. And sadly, I can only bring a very small selection of the drawings with me. The rest of them are in John Muir's first place in Dunbar at the moment in an exhibition. The ones that are here, the actual title of the book, the Guga Stone, this was the Guga Stone piece here. Part of the, buy the book and read the poem. The whole idea was the fact that it was a stone that someone had carved and sat and worked away, and almost like creating this little talisman for a figure. So I wanted to create an image that had something that looked like a bit of native art, like someone would sit that knew the animals really well, knew what they looked like, and sit with a little piece of soapstone or something, sit and carve away and create this bird. If you notice on a few of the images when you read through the book, if you read the little tags, in amongst the stories, we created a character called Donald, who is basically almost a Martin type character in amongst it. So these were, as they were collected as relics to go into museums. So the little tags explain what they're about on it. So this one explains that it was used as a card by one of the islanders and used as a talisman. This one as well, the little storm petrel lamp. I don't know if anybody knows this before, but the petrels, if the fishermen and local people in the area would get the petrels, and because they were so oily, they could put a wick in them and use them as candles. So it was like the idea of not only eating birds and using the feathers, but you can actually light up the house from them as well. One of my friends is a ringer for the RSPB, and they were ringing leeches petrol on St Kilda recently, and Derek says that his bag still smells because they were keeping the petals in the bag for about 15-20 minutes at a time before they could ring them. As they caught them and took them out of the nets, they'd store them in a bag and leave them, and then come back to them. And he said he couldn't get the oil out of the bags, he's been washing them, and they still smell. Still, he said when you pick them up, still you get it on your fingers and things. So the fact that it's got a little wick in it and burns away, the little explanations there. I showed some of these to a load of kids. We were talking about this earlier on. I put four drawings out, and 2 of them were made up and 2 of them were real, and asked them which was which, and I told them the stories for each one, and they got it absolutely wrong. They got it completely. They got the ones that they thought were real was the other way around, and they couldn't get it, and that was one they didn't believe. They thought that was just completely made up. We were talking as well, a lot of seabirds, as you can tell as you read through the book, there's a lot of seabirds appeal in it. We've got the puffin again, we have Lachlan's puffin here, being almost creating a sort of freak show part of it as well, a little circus show of exhibits. He was one of the exhibits where they had a puffin who was he was taught to dance to Gaelic songs. So this was him with one of his little, he's got his little dance card on there and he's having to work out which psalm he's dancing to.
The foxtrot he wasn't able to do apart.
And he appears again here as well of the idea of a little vein puffin as well. He's also in amongst it, I kind of played with a little pun on puffin in the books by making him a penguin. Yeah, he's in there. I have a little copy of one of the banned books was Treasure Island. So this is with a little spine, so instead of a puffin on the spine, there was a penguin on the spine, there was a little puffin on it. Treasure Island being banned because it might be an exotic taste for eating parrots. So you weren't allowed to read that. It might give you ideas to go and eat something more exotic. If you have a look through the book, please, once we get through in our reading and us rambling on about things, please come up and ask and have a look through the images of the book and ask about them. There are, as I say, this was only a tiny selection of them. There's another 20-something still in the bar for another week or two. There's 45 drawings in here. They only didn't use one. Amazing out of it. Please ask questions about them. If you want to know anything about them or what they were all the pieces are all round about that size. Anyone interested in artwork, they would be about 2 days, worth of work, 3 days worth of work on each drawing, going at it. Like, just to give you an idea, we've had great fun. The bookshop found out about our publishers, how good they are this afternoon. We had to change something in this just a little while ago. You'll see there's little sections in the book as well, and they decided to put them in after not putting them in. And so there's 16 sections in it. That's one of them. He's one of the New Life ones. I had 2 weeks to do 16 images for it. So I did 16 drawings in 17 days, so I think I deserve a lot for getting it done. Around that sort of what like that. So please, as I say, have a look through the stuff in the book. I can ramble on for ages. You're better off listening to this man telling you nice stories. Have a look through the drawings in the book, anything you want to know about any of the drawings, and look into them as well, because there's a lot of things hidden in amongst the stories. And say, read some of the labels and try and work out yourself. There's a lot of this that's real, there's a lot of it that's not real. So see if you can work out which is which. That's the key to this, it's working out what's truth and what's not. Sometimes you'd be surprised actually what's not real. It's good. I think you should hear more of this man. But I say, please ask questions. There's a lot of images in here. I'll tell you anything you want to know about anything as well.